It's no secret that selling has changed in recent years. This is an exciting and dynamic profession, yet it is one of the most underrated and misunderstood, at least in recent years. The backslapping, sleazy, joke-telling huckster has disappeared, and in his place is a new generation of sales professionals, highly trained and groomed with the characteristics of honesty, trustworthiness, and competence. Broadly defined, today's top salespeople are in the business of identifying needs and persuading potential customers to respond favorably to an idea that will result in mutual satisfaction for both the buyer and the seller. So, in this course, you will become a skilled salesperson, skilled at networking, and learn the 80-20 rule. After today, you will know who to target and how to target them, and remember to do some prospecting every day through warming up cold calls, following up on leads, or networking. At the end of this course, you will be able to understand a wonderful paradox. Helping other people get what they want gives us more of what we want. Use goal-setting techniques as a way to focus on what you want to accomplish and develop strategies for getting there. Identify and be able to better present the competitive strengths of your products and services so that you can be proactive in handling objections and more successful at asking for the business. Use different types of selling for different situations. Learn how to use a prospect board to make you more successful. Identify target markets and target companies with the 80-20 rule in mind. Develop and practice networking skills at every opportunity. So, what are you waiting for? Let's get started. Session 2. Essential Selling Skills. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us today. Now we will talk about the selling skills. Selling skills take weeks, months, and even years to learn. It isn't that they are difficult, but they have to be practiced sufficiently to make them second nature. To sell is simple. To sell under adverse or competitive situations, not just once but again and again, is an incredibly complex and demanding task. Here are the basic skills of selling. If you don't have them, you need them. They are your future, your rock, your foundation, your equity increase. You can double your sales by mastering each skill by itself and using them in all strategic harmony. So, as a salesperson, you would need rapport skills, recognizing and adjusting for the needs of others. Observation skills, reading body language and the subtleties of nonverbal language. Interrogation skills, uncovering and implanting expectations, needs, desires, motives, and parameters. Commitment skills, growing purchasing commitment and orchestrating attention-controlled sale from beginning to end. Negative response skills, interpreting, responding to, and reversing negative opinions, actions, or events. Presentation skills, making your solution sound attractive, exciting, and complete to the prospective client. Expectation skills, exposing, implanting, and fulfilling client expectations. Communication skills, facilitating the transfer of information from you to your client. Organization skills, operating your sales management system efficiently, effectively, and profitably. Strategic skills, evaluating selling situations, planning tactics, and actions that result in bigger, faster sales. Technology skills, rising beyond the sales support boundaries that may eventually hold you back. Training skills, provide added value to your customers and your selling team. Product knowledge application skills, positively affecting your customers through your personal knowledge of your product and interpreting your product or service features into advantages or benefits. Motivation skills, positively motivating individuals and groups during sales presentations. Attitude adjusting skills, repositioning your personal attitude quickly when depressed or demotivated. And of course, negotiation skills. With an increasing amount of competitors vying for customer attention, negotiation has become an expected part of sales. Customers anticipate that they will be able to negotiate with their salesperson, which means that sales reps need to come to the negotiation table ready to negotiate. Great negotiation skills don't entail conceding unnecessarily. The skilled negotiator knows how to find solutions that work for both parties, resulting in a win-win scenario that keeps everyone satisfied. Next, let's talk about the power of the mind. The ability to control what you think from minute to minute and from day to day is the first great wonder of the mind. The mind is very powerful, but it can't tell the difference between what is real and what we imagine. So if we imagine negative thoughts, how will our mind react? We will get depressed, become convinced we can't do anything, feel negative, and give up. If we give ourselves positive messages, the reverse can happen. We can gain energy and enthusiasm and see the world as a better, brighter place. Optimism is a learned skill. Is this important for salespeople and entrepreneurs to remember? Think about it. Salespeople share many similar attributes, but a common thread among the sales elite is an infectiously positive outlook. Optimism is more than having a positive outlook as you go about your days. The effect of optimism on the mindset of your customers cannot be understated. Essentially, optimism lowers stress. Next is professionalism. Appearance is key for all salespeople. Even if you do all your sales over the phone, maintaining a professional image is crucial for your self-talk. Here are some tips for dressing for success. Dress the way you want to be perceived. Look like you care about what you are doing. Dress comfortably and be proud of who you are. Always appear as neat and clean as possible. Hair clean and neatly trimmed, fingernails clean and neatly trimmed, and shoes that are clean and polished. Look trim. If you aren't slender, choose clothes carefully. Be sure clothing fits properly. You will not feel good and you won't look good if your clothes are too tight. Don't appear too fashion conscious, and don't spend a lot of money trying to keep up. Know the colors and styles that suit you and stick to them. V.H. Vroom developed his expectancy theory in the 1960s. Although it has been slightly modified through the years, his theory in its simplest form is still valid today. It states that we generally get what we expect. Positive expectations are the single most outwardly identifiable characteristic that all winning personalities demonstrate. Remember, our personal self-expectancy can be discovered if we listen to our self-talk, which is the inner conversations we have with ourselves, those little voices inside our head. A winner's self-talk might be, "I did well today. I'll do even better tomorrow." A loser's self-talk is more apt to be, "With my luck, I was bound to fail." So, you should constantly monitor and self-correct your self-talk on a daily basis until it becomes a habit. What is selling? Hello there. Today let's get an answer to our logical question. What is selling? If we are going to be good consultants and problem solvers, we need to continually improve our skills in order to stay competitive and to help our clients. We will want to work on all these skills we identified earlier, but again, don't look at your task of improving yourself as a negative, but look at it as a challenge, a positive. So here is a case study for you. There were once two amateur runners, Harry Bodkins and Jim Collins. These two men were about the same age, the same height, and the same build. They both had the same dream, to place in the top 200 in a marathon race that attracted thousands of participants each year. Interestingly, both had a faulty running stride, and both went to a clinic a couple of months before the marathon to get some expert advice on how to improve their stride. A coach pointed out their weaknesses and told them how to correct their problem. And now the similarities between the story of these two men ends. Bodkins visualized himself running and cursed himself under his breath for running like a duck. He vowed to correct his stride even if it killed him. Collins, on the other hand, didn't get upset. He was pleased to get the information and began concentrating on correcting his stride. He began visualizing the correct stride, and each time before he ran, he would spend some time correctly imagining it. At first, his time dropped, but he didn't get discouraged. He told himself he was just learning how to use his muscles differently. After 3 weeks of practice, positive self-talk, and visualizing the positive, Jim Collins' time was faster than ever. Bodkins continued to practice too. Every day he told himself, "Don't run like a duck." But every day, he continued to run like a duck. Eventually, he began to sustain minor injuries, and at one point his ankle bothered him so much he had to stop training for a week. Gradually, he started running again, but now he was worried about injuries, and all he wanted to do was finish the race. The day of the race, Jim Collins kept up his positive self-talk, visualized his correct running stride and a successful race, and finished 88th. He congratulated himself and set a new goal for the next year, finishing in the top 50. Harry, on the other hand, kept admonishing himself to try harder. And indeed, he did try very hard, but he couldn't change his stride. "Stop running like a duck, you idiot," he told himself. But eventually his injuries got the better of him, and he had to drop out of the race before the finish line. Harry was bitter about his misfortune and told himself, "That's it, your running days are over." Both men had sought counsel about improving their running performance. Both men used self-talk after they got their advice. How did they differ in how they used that information? Are there any lessons to be learned from this story? Please take notes for yourself. As a salesperson, two of your most valuable assets are your attitudes and your emotions. Whether you make or lose a potential sale often depends on how you manage these assets. By engaging in positive self-talk, You can master these assets and be in charge of yourself at every stage of the sale. Features and benefits. Today, the consumer is suffering from information overload. How can you make your company stand out from the rest? Although it is impossible to know everything, the competent salesperson should know as much as possible about the company, its products and services, and the competition. Credibility is a key ingredient in all selling relationships. Competent salespeople want to know about how their products are made, how they interfere with related products, what products are provided for the products they offer, what services are provided for the products they offer, and most importantly, how their products and services satisfy their customers' needs. So, you need to know your features and benefits. A feature is a fact about one of your products or services. It is generally an observable, tangible property or characteristic and may involve the buyer's sense of taste, touch, hearing, sight, or smell. An advantage explains the function of the feature, a performance characteristic that has buyer appeal. A benefit is the satisfaction that the buyer derives from the particular advantage or feature. It is an emotional or rational sense of value that the buyer receives from the product or service. Now, think about it. What are the features, advantages, and benefits of those products and services you sell? How do you convert your product knowledge into features, advantages, and benefits? Session 5. Setting Smart Goals. Researchers have found that people who set goals are on average likely to be more successful in more ways than people who don't set goals. As a salesperson, it's important to be smart about your sales goals. SMART is a well-known industry acronym for sales goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Remember, one of the biggest pitfalls in setting sales goals is not being specific enough. So, let's start with the specific goals. Specific. Painting a mental picture of what your goal will look like requires very specific descriptors. For example, if owning a new car is your goal, then a specific goal might be, I will have a red 2019 Chrysler LeBaron hardtop with gray velour upholstery, air conditioning, airbags, electronic windows, and an MP3 player. Then you can picture yourself driving around in that car. Measurable. If you can't measure your goals, you won't know if you can reach them or not. If you are saving money for a new red LeBaron, how will you know how you are doing? You will need to be able to check how much money you have saved toward that goal. Achievable or attainable. You also want to be certain that your goals are reachable. Sometimes people think that the top achievers of this world set high goals for themselves and then work toward reaching them. But in truth, the super achievers of the world know that setting high goals can be a demotivator. How? If you set goals that you feel in your heart of hearts is just not attainable, this can demotivate you. Maybe the car you can realistically afford right now isn't a Chrysler LeBaron, but a compact car. So adjust your goal. It isn't written in cement or blood. Relevant. The goal should be relevant to you personally. Maybe a Chrysler LeBaron isn't relevant to what you are doing right now. Maybe you really need a Chevy half-ton to carry product or supplies. Or maybe transportation isn't your problem. Maybe you need office space or a new computer. You won't get committed to goals that aren't important to you, so you will only put a half-hearted effort into achieving the goal, and then blame yourself on the idea of setting goals if you don't reach the goal. Timed. Goals often need a timeline. Some of us wouldn't get a darn thing done if it wasn't for the deadlines in our lives. There are 3 additional points to remember when setting goals. The 3 Ps. Goals should be framed positively. There is some energy to be had from negative goals. But as you heard from the story about Harry Botkins and Jim Collins, we get more energy from positives. Put your goals in written form. Writing down your goals increases your likelihood of reaching them. And finally, make your goals personal. Only when we are ready to commit to a goal ourselves are we ready to strive for it. Time management tips. It's an interesting thing about time management that those who already manage time well go to training sessions on time management and then come back to the workplace, prepared to schedule themselves even more efficiently. While those who are not very good at managing time often come back from such sessions with the feeling that they didn't learn anything new that would really be of help to them. There really aren't any new ideas about time management. The trick is to use the techniques we already know about. If small business owners can put even one idea into practice, they will probably make better use of their time than before they tried. So, here's a case study for you. Charles Schwab was one of the wealthiest men in America in the 20s, the first man to be paid a salary of over $1 million. He took over Bethlehem Steel and made it one of the most successful companies in the United States. At one point, he paid a consultant $25,000 to help him manage time more efficiently. Many people thought he was crazy to pay that much money for something so simple. But Charles Schwab always declared it was the best spent money of his career. What did the consultant tell him? He said, "Charles, before you leave work tonight, sit down. Write down the 6 most important things you have to do tomorrow, and put them in order of priority. When you come into work tomorrow, look at that list and see if those are still the most important 6 things you have to do, and if the order is correct. If the answer is yes, then begin working on priority 1 and continue working on it until it is finished. Look at your list again. If your priorities are still right, start working on number 2. At the end of the day, make a new list. Transfer those items still not done if they'll still remain priorities. Come in the next day and review your list and start all over again." Why was that such good advice? Could it apply to us today? Think about it. What are the benefits of having a routine? But time management is more than just ticking off the to-do list on your personal or team board. If you don't utilize tools or set up your time well, then you won't get the results you need to achieve long-term goals. Technology needs to work with you to make your work more efficient, and it does this by automating admin and repetitive tasks. According to InsideSales.com research, sales reps spend an inordinate amount of time with administrative tasks, 12.8% of their time. Keep in mind, in sales, it's important to eliminate and automate monotonous and administrative tasks. We use tools like Salesforce, Drift, Join.me, ContactMonkey's email templates, Email Tracker and Mail Merge, Asana, Trello, Slack, DocuSign, and HubSpot. So, with effective goal setting and time management tools, you can increase the number of sales or the amount of money you make. Types of selling. Hi there, welcome back. Today let's discuss the 3 types of selling. First and foremost is upselling. This type of selling means selling the customer more of your services than originally requested, or a better, more expensive service in the same area. For example, the customer may come in looking for a hoe, and you suggest a rototiller would be much easier on his or her back and faster too. Next is cross-selling. This means selling the customer an additional item or items that complement the original request. For example, you may suggest that while the customer is getting a new car loan, they may want you to do a consolidation of their other loans. And finally, value-added selling. Historically, value-added is a concept in which a company purchases raw materials and does something to these materials that adds value to the buyer. Value-added refers to how the seller changes, enhances, or improves the basic product to increase its value to the buyer. The salesperson finds out what is of value to the buyer and then finds ways to increase the value of the offering. Value-added is a philosophy that acknowledges there are 2 sets of needs in any sale. Your buyer has a need to solve a problem, and you have a need to sell a product or a service for a profit. In a value-oriented sales environment, both of you achieve your goals. The value-oriented salesperson is constantly looking for ways to enhance his or her product, service, or company for the buyer while preserving his or her margins. When you embrace this philosophy, you are making a big commitment. You are making a commitment to your company by leveraging your sales time well. You are pursuing your commitment to sell more profitably. You are slowly making a commitment to your buyer to actively seek ways to increase the value of your offering to her. You are also making a commitment to yourself, a commitment to realize the performance potential within you. Remember, value is in the eye of the beholder. Value is determined by a buyer's unique set of factors, and we value other things besides price. As Mark Twain said, it's the difference of opinion that gives us the horse race. Debrief. Why don't all salespeople sell from a value-added point of view? Facts and myths. There are some myths about value-added selling. They include: some believe that value-added selling only applies to very complex technical sales. Wrong. Some of the most successful value-added organizations sell a commodity identical to those of 4 or 5 other companies in the area. They have learned how to differentiate or package their product. Some people think that only the product can have value added. Both the salesperson and the vendor can add value to the product. This kills the myth that only managers or those high up the chain of command can design and deliver added value for customers. Wrong again. Some people think that because it's not unique, it doesn't count. And of course, there are salespeople who remain silent about some of the special features or benefits of their product because everyone could say the same about their product. One example is the cell phone that can offer travelers some protection against being stranded along the road. Yes, every cell phone has that benefit, but not all companies or salespeople talk about that benefit. Phases of the value-added sale. In the value-added sale, there are 3 distinct phases. Phase 1 is the planning or pre-call phase. This is where you study the client, make your appointment, and set your objectives. Phase 2 is the implementation stage. This is where you make the sales call and interview the buyer thoroughly. You determine his or her needs and tailor your presentation of features and benefits to address those needs specifically. And you ask for the business. The implementation phase can be one or several calls. Phase 3 is the follow-up stage, where you assure buyer satisfaction, assuage buyer remorse, and review your calling effort. Targeting your market. Hello there. Today let's talk about 8 ways to target your market. Remember, targeting a specific market does not mean that you are excluding people who do not fit your criteria. Rather, target marketing allows you to focus your marketing dollars and brand message on a specific market that is more likely to buy from you than other markets. So, first and foremost, 1. A narrow focus can improve your aim when it comes to getting more business. The shotgun approach to prospecting, blasting away in all directions in the hope of finding a customer, is a common mistake. Instead, we have to take aim with the precision of a rifle shot with a clear perception of the target. Make sure that prospective clients need your product or service. 2. Find out where your customers live. Knowing their geographical pattern can help you plan sales calls or target your direct mail pieces. This in turn can help you increase sales and decrease costs. If you can pinpoint a city or a region, can you narrow your search further to specific streets or specific pockets of an area? 3. Look for common characteristics among your clients. People who buy a specific product or service are often alike in age range, income, occupations, and lifestyle. They read similar material, and they tune into similar radio and television stations. These common characteristics, known as demographics, help us know what we are looking for when we are prospecting for clients. 4. Understand what makes your clients buy. This is difficult to pin down, and you may have to meet a prospective client face-to-face before you can answer this one. Attitudes, interests, and opinions, collectively called psychographics, can help us find the answers to these questions and decide whether a prospect is a buyer or not. 5. Analyze your client file. You may not have to meet customers face-to-face to be able to determine the common denominators amongst your present clients. If you review a number of client files, you can often determine a profile of your average client. What should you hunt for? Search your files for anything pointing to age, income, and position in the company to get a picture of the demographics of the people you serve. Plotting addresses on a map will tell you the geographic. What they buy and how often will point to their psychographics. If your information is still sketchy, it may be worth a phone call to fill in the blanks. 6. Listen to your clients. Get some feedback on your existing service or some indication of how a new product will be received. And don't get trapped into a course of action based on the opinion of only a few customers. Talk to a lot of customers or do a survey. 7. Do a survey. Be specific about what you want your survey to do. Frame your questions to determine product acceptance, the level of the demand, the price, and the timing. While big surveys can take months and cost thousands of dollars, don't lightly dismiss the idea of just developing your own little survey and then ask each of your clients the same questions when you do follow-up calls. And finally, summarize your findings in a client profile. Cataloging the geographics, demographics, and psychographics defines your target market. Once you have a composite picture of your sales market, simply carry your sales message to those prospects that mirror the characteristics of your market. My target market. Customer profile. Economic level. Psychological makeup. Age. Gender. Income level. Buying habits. Location. Live. Work. Shop. Market profile. Market size. Competition. Other factors. The prospect board. The prospect board is a tracking tool that should be mounted on a wall in your office. Electronic reports and paper reports are good, but there is something special about seeing your results on the wall. If you make daily prospecting work a part of your sales routine, you should closely monitor the customer's sales cycle. It's divided into 4 parts and is described from the customer's perspective. Each part describes what a typical customer goes through when deciding to buy something. So, here is PRED, perception. This can be either perception of a product or perception of a need that the product might satisfy. Research. The customer will look into competing products, testimonials, etc. Evaluation. The customer considers their options. Decision. The customer decides whether or not to purchase. Paying careful attention to the second and third stages of the sales cycle will dramatically increase your sales efficiency and your income potential. As you can see, a prospect board is a date-driven tool that allows you to track all your opportunities, rank them according to your own sense of how likely it is that the sale will close, and remove inactive prospects from your high priority list. It forces you to be realistic about your prospects. Active prospects are those who have scheduled appointments to see you, or who are engaged to one degree or another with you in the second stage of the sales cycle. Opportunity prospects are those who, for one reason or another, are unlikely to close. The prospect board will keep you from spinning your wheels or chasing after business that isn't really going to come into existence and keep you from losing interest in the whole process. So how does it work? It can be a whiteboard or an ordinary bulletin board, or it can be a portfolio with plenty of slots for cards, with 5 vertical columns, such as O, FA, 25%, 50%, and 90%. Have a look at this slide. O represents opportunity. These are the names and contact information of people and organizations you have not yet called. These are the people you are about to call. The information includes the specifics that have been entered into your database. This is not an active column, but represents people you should call. FA is the place where you leave cards and reflect a first appointment you have set but have not yet gone out on. No matter how promising the lead, how enthusiastic the call, no matter how much you have in common with the person on the other end of the phone, you can only put a card here when you have set up a face-to-face appointment. 25% shows you the current prospects you have met at least once, and with whom you feel you have a 1 in 4 chance of closing the deal within the next 2 months, or whatever the norm is in your industry. These are the people who are willing to meet with you, always a key indicator of interest. However, the 25% is still a guess you get better at as time goes on. Anyone you've had a meeting with, but who you honestly feel has a less than 25% chance of closing the sale, move them back to the O list. 50% identifies those with whom you have a 50% chance of closing the sale within the next month or so. Typically, the person in this column is interested in what you say, but has to get approval from above, must meet with a committee, or must decide based on a competitive bid. 90% are those who have a chance of closing within the next 1 to 2 weeks. Don't put prospects here too quickly, unless they say with determination some variation of, "We're going ahead with this." At any given moment, this column has the fewest number of cards in it. Please note, when a prospect becomes a customer, their name goes off the board. Each card should list the customer's first name, last name, email address, phone number, last activity, and next activity. Your best weekly schedule will arise in a natural way from the work you do on your prospect board. Each Friday afternoon, you should use your prospect board to set your schedule for the following week. Your activities should be broken down into the following categories. Prospecting. First, appointments. Appointments with 25% prospects. Appointments with 50% prospects. Appointments with 90% prospects. Closing and service calls and tasks. Special projects and tasks. Other or personal. Everything starts with prospecting and cold calling. Prospecting is the first phase, the one that controls the rest of the cycle, the one that drives your day, your week, your month, your year, and your career. Session 10. Networking. What is networking? Sales is about making connections, though not just with customers. Your long-term success as a salesperson depends on your ability to collaborate with others. Networking, whether it involves securing employment, generating business leads, or seeking professional advice, yields immeasurable rewards. However, many salespeople find it tough to commit the time necessary for effective networking. Keep in mind, networking is more than just a buzzword. It's about building, cultivating, and developing relationships with a large, diverse group of people who will gladly and continually refer business to you. A practical skill played out at well-organized trade shows, seminars, association meetings, and professional group meetings. A widely used tool for building a rapport with others in order to give and receive ideas for learning and educating about who you know, who knows you, and what you do for a living. When that person or someone that person knows needs your products and services, they will think of you, providing they like and trust you. To network effectively, you must be prepared and open-minded. Understand the objectives of attending the event. Analyze the event. Overcome the fear of strangers. Follow up and keep promises. There are certain skills involved with networking, some of which are engaging in conversation, giving the right impression, gathering information, disengaging from conversation, follow up on new contacts. So here are a few tips for you on networking effectively. Pre-qualifying the group. Attend meetings, joining organizations, and going to conferences and trade shows are all ways to meet people. However, if they don't fit into the demographics you have decided are most apt to buy your products, you can waste a lot of time without ever getting any return on your effort. So you have to pre-qualify the group. Next is pre-networking introductions. If you are heading out to a meeting with the local Chamber of Commerce, you might want to find somebody who you know that already belongs to the group and ask them if they would introduce you to a couple of people. You might have a couple of people you want to meet that you know they know, or you might leave it up to them. Pre-event strategies. Prepare effective conversational openers. Know what the organization is about and what types of people will be there. The easiest way to be informed is to become an active participant in the organization. This is a great way to build relationships with other members before the events. Self-introduction. Spend some time and thought in preparing a self-introduction that sounds good and tells people what you want them to know. Practice until you say it easily without feeling self-conscious. How to walk into a room. Some people walk into a room as though to say, "Here I am." However, you might be more successful if you walk into the room with an expression of, "Here you are," on your face. Don't just stand there, mingle. If you are with a group, don't freeze up. Walk around the room until you spot somebody else who looks like they are alone and then walk up to them. Stick out your hand for a handshake and introduce yourself. How to break into a group. It can be hard to break into an already formed group. However, look for people who are alone like you, or for odd groups. In a group of 3, for example, one person may be unattached or feeling left out of the conversation. Think of yourself as a host and look around for others who may need help. Be the person they remember. In business, as in most aspects of life, what goes around comes around. Whenever possible, give a lead or referral to people you meet. They will remember it. Before you enter the room, take a deep breath. Walk in with confidence and give the room a once-over. Pick a place where people are congregating. The bar and food table are good places to begin the networking process. Start with simple questions such as, "Are you a member?" Find intermediaries. Perhaps there is somebody in the group who can help you get an introduction to someone you would like to meet. Ask them if they are willing to act as an intermediary. The handshake. Nobody wants to get a wet fish handshake, and they don't want to crush your handshake either. A firm grip so the web between your thumb and forefinger is against the web of the other person's thumb and forefinger usually gives you the right grip. Your handshake should be firm, short, one-handed, right? And be accompanied by a smile. Pick a card, not just any card. At business functions, you are expected to have business cards. Don't pass out business cards like they are candy. However, do pass one to anyone who asks or who has expressed an interest in your products or services. Or, at the end of a conversation, ask for the person's card and offer yours. When someone gives you their card, take time to look at it before slipping it in your pocket or wallet. Do not write on the back unless you ask them first. Respect their card. Later, make note of where you met the person and what the date was. This will help with the follow-up. Focus on one person at a time. When talking with someone, don't let your eyes wander to others in another area of the room. Give that person your full attention until you are ready to move on. You never know when opportunity will knock. Have you ever had someone look over your shoulder? It is rude behavior. Focus on that person. It's not only polite, it's effective networking. Try to use the person's name 3 times in a conversation. It makes the person feel good, and it will help you to remember. Have fun. Be positive. Remember the body language. Use open body language, with arms at your sides and an alert, pleasant expression on your face. Coffee, anyone? Always send a thank you note to the host or hostess of the event. Fax an article of interest to someone you spoke with. If a connection has been made and you tell the person you will call them to set up a meeting, call within 24 to 48 hours. If you wait too long, you will lose credibility. Buddy system. If you are going to an event, it can sometimes increase your confidence and your comfort to bring a buddy along. However, make sure you and your buddy agree not to stick to one another like glue. Make an effort for each of you to meet others. Introduce others to your buddy, and you will have doubled the number of people you can network with in an evening. The art of conversation. Hi guys, today let's look at the 4 levels when it comes to the art of conversation. Getting comfortable conversing with others is one object of this exercise. Being comfortable speaking with others in small social settings can have a big impact on both your personal and your professional life. We are all more drawn to the person who looks at ease and confident than we are the person who looks ill at ease and awkward. At work, our first encounter with another person often begins with a handshake and a smile while looking right at the other person. So first, let's talk about eye contact. This is not staring at another person unblinkingly, but rather looking at their face, eyes, nose, and mouth triangle. So here is a 1-minute exercise. Turn to your neighbor, friend, or anyone next to you and smile. Look them in the eye and tell them you are glad they are here. The maximum amount of time you want to look directly into someone's eyes would be about 10 seconds. You should also offer a handshake that is firm yet not too tight, with the web of your thumb and forefinger meshing with the web of their thumb and forefinger. So let's look at Level 1, Small Talk. Small talk means a very superficial conversation about the weather, the traffic, current events, etc. While this may seem purposeless, it isn't. This is our chance to size up another person and decide whether you have something in common. You don't know the other person and you aren't expected to reveal anything personal about yourself. Use these questions to generate small talk with your partner. Substitute widget for their business. How did you get your start in the widget business? What do you enjoy about your business? What separates you from your competition? Let them brag. What advice would you give someone starting out in your business? What one thing would you do with your business if you knew it could not fail? What significant changes have you seen take place in your business throughout the years? What do you see as the coming trends in the widget business? Wherever right now you are, here is a 1-minute exercise for you. Go to someone you have not yet had an opportunity to talk with yet today, perhaps in your workplace, perhaps in a networking room. Smile, extend your hand in a handshake, introduce yourself, if you don't know that person, and make some small talk with that person. Next is Level 2, Fact Disclosure. Should the small talk phase go well, we are ready to move on to the second level of communication with our conversational partner and reveal a few facts about ourselves. These could be bits of information such as our occupation, our hobbies, or the types of activities we enjoy. Now that you are revealing a bit more about yourselves, you may find more you have in common. There is give and take in this conversation as you ask and answer questions with your partner. Level 3, Viewpoints and Opinions. Generally, people don't move to this stage until they feel comfortable with one another and believe they have found common ground when you disclose facts in the second level. In this level, you go beyond that to give your opinion of whatever it is you've been talking about. Examples include, skiing is an expensive hobby. Your dream is to ski in Jasper. You are counting the days to retirement. You are hoping to move to another job soon. You may even venture into politics or religion if you are feeling comfortable enough to do that. The general rule is low and slow, as in, don't reveal too much too soon. You may want to commiserate about the high cost of sending a child to university today, but wait until you know the person better before you reveal that you took out a second mortgage to send your son or daughter to university. Here is a 1-minute exercise. Go back to your first partner again and try conducting a conversation at that third level where you express viewpoints and opinions. If you can't think of a topic on your own, use one of the subjects on this slide. Driving while using a smartphone, smoking regulations, best vacation spot, exercise as a way to boost energy, and finally, Level 4, Personal Feelings. This usually doesn't come until you feel very comfortable with your conversational partner. The surest way to get here is not to reveal too much too soon. An example of too much too soon might be telling someone all the details of a messy divorce just 5 minutes into meeting them, or upon learning someone is of a different political party, launching into a condemnation of that party. A successful conversation starts at Level 1 and proceeds at a comfortable pace through the second and third levels, and continues to the fourth level, although usually not during your first meeting. With some people, you will find yourself moving easily through at least the first 3 stages, if not to stage 4. It usually takes a lot of conversations with someone you feel very comfortable with before you progress to Level 4, Regaining Lost Accounts. Another easy way to increase your sales that hardly anyone does is regain inactive or lost clients. These clients, for whatever reason, have stopped doing business with your company. Know who these former clients are and begin to actively work at getting them back into the fold. Remember, most people stop buying from you and your company for one of the 4 reasons. Something totally unrelated to you or your company happened in their life or business that caused them to stop dealing with you. They intended to come back, but they never got around to it. Out of sight is out of mind. Once you've stopped dealing with a company, no matter how good or valuable their product or service, you forget about them. They had a problem or an unsatisfying last business experience with you or your company that they didn't tell you about, but now they are turned off by your company. Their business has changed to the point where they no longer need your products or services. Contact these people too. Hopefully their situation has changed for the better. Congratulate them if the news is good. Empathize with them if the news is bad. Care about them, not just about yourself. Ask them for referrals if they can no longer use your products or services. Only 4% of customers bother to complain. Of those who do complain, about 70% will do business with the company again if the problem is resolved. That number can climb to 95% if they feel the problem was solved quickly. 68% of clients stop because of company indifference. It takes 12 positive incidents to make up for one negative incident in the minds of clients. The best way to address this problem is to never lose a client. However, when you do lose one, all is not lost. You can almost instantly get most of these clients back just by taking action. Contact them. Apologize most sincerely and do whatever you can to resolve the problem or make it up to them. If you get them back, they may be even more loyal than those who have never left. Cold calling. Hello and welcome back, guys. Today we will talk about cold calling. No prospecting strategy is as good as picking up the telephone and calling to ask people whether or not you can get together with them to talk about what you do. While networking and starting new conversations are good supplementary measures, prospecting by telephone should be your primary method of finding new contacts. If you make as few as 6 calls a day, whereby someone from your target company picks up the phone and says hello, you can make a significant difference in your total income picture. These 6 calls do not necessarily all result in setting up an appointment, nor do they even mean that you always get through to the decision maker. But if you pick up the phone and make those 6 calls regularly, 5 out of 5 days every business week, without fail, you minimize stress, frustration, and wasted effort. You also take control of the front end of your own sales cycle. A cure for call reluctance. A lot of salespeople are plagued by call reluctance, even though the vast majority of prospects are unfailingly polite, even if they say no to talking with you further. One technique for overcoming call reluctance is to write, "Don't worry about it, just do it," on the front of your planner, to remind you that you are calling people and asking questions, not just to help you, but to help them as well. A second technique is to have your list of prospective clients in front of you so you can begin at the beginning and work down through the list without trying to cherry-pick the ones who are apt to say yes. Here are some other tips to make cold calls work for you. Create a comfortable call center that works well for you. Some people prefer headsets so they can make notes as they talk. Others prefer to stand. Most people have a script they use as a guideline to keep them on track. At any rate, have the information you need right in front of you. Choose what works best for you. Make your notes immediately after the phone call, including any follow-up required. Reward yourself after making a certain number of phone calls. The number of calls made can dictate the reward. One problem you are apt to encounter is the gatekeeper. Gatekeepers are those who would keep you from speaking with your desired targets. They may be front desk receptionists, or they may be administrative assistants, but their mandate is to filter out non-essential callers and salespeople. There are some proven strategies for getting to your target decision maker without offending them. These include, make calls at times when support staff is normally not at work, such as early in the morning, at lunch hour, or end of the day. Not everyone likes to be caught answering the phone, but if you can say with sincerity, "I see you are working late or early like me," you may find they will relax and spend some time talking with you. If not, quickly ask if you might call them back at a more convenient time, or if you can set up an appointment to talk with them in person. Use the answer-ask strategy. This is a technique that really involves turning the tables on receptionists, assistants, and other gatekeepers by asking them questions in return. For example, receptionist: Acme Holdings. You: Miss Roberts, please. Receptionist: May I tell her who is calling? You: Please tell her Ralph Jones is holding. Receptionist: And what is your company, Mr. Jones? You: Would you tell him my company is Jones & Jones Associates, please? Treat them right. Get that gatekeeper on your side by acknowledging their role and enlisting their help to find a good time to reach your prospect. Despite all the disadvantages of voicemail, there are at least a few advantages we should keep in mind when we are faced with whether to leave a message or not. We should take this opportunity to get the most we can out of our calling time. We don't get interrupted, and the person we want to reach will at least get to listen to the first part of our message. Prepare and practice what you want to say. Put a pleasant smile in your voice. Speak slower than you normally would, and go for it. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, You just can't seem to get a prospect's attention. Get beyond saying, "I'm so-and-so," and "I'm glad to meet you." If you and your competitors all use the same words, how will you stand out from the rest? You need to have a good opening statement. This includes telling them who you are and what you are calling about. Prospects get annoyed with people who try to be coy or too cutesy. Come up with a new way to greet prospects that will set you apart from the crowd, like, "I don't want any money." These 5 minutes can make a difference in your bottom line. "Help me solve a mystery. I learned something really interesting about your business the other day." Here are some tips for warming up cold calls. Send a preliminary mailing in a business envelope with the person's name spelled correctly, a tailored letter with information directly relating to the prospect, and a small brochure. If you have been referred to this person by somebody you met during your networking, or through someone you have dealt with successfully, this can be an excellent way to warm up a cold call. However, you can only use this technique when it is indeed a referral. The 80-20 rule. Nothing can add more power to your life than concentrating all of your energies on a limited set of targets. Nido Quibin, an economist named Wilfredo Pareto, discovered a principle that has had an enormous impact on economics and business ever since. He found that you could divide members of society into the vital few, the 20% of the population that controlled 80% of the wealth, and the trivial many who controlled 20% of the wealth. This is now called Pareto's principle, and it has proven to be universally valid in virtually every area of activity. We call it the 80-20 rule, and you can apply it to every area of selling. The 80-20 rule says that 20% of your activity will result in 80% of your results. So, if you have a list of 10 things to do, 2 of them will be as valuable as the other 8 put together. And one of your biggest challenges will be to keep analyzing your to-do list to be sure you are working on the top 20%. Think about it. Can you think of some ways this 80-20 rule is evident in your life? There is very little difference in talent and ability between high performers and low performers, except in the way they use their time. What this means is that for you to succeed greatly, you must always be focusing your time and energy on that 20% of your activities that bring you 80% of your results. It's not just a numbers game. Hello there. We have approached our last lesson. So, congratulations! In our last session today, we will talk about sales being not just a numbers game. There's more to it than just numbers. Firstly, there is rapport. Remember, people buy from people they like. They will even wait to buy from someone they like, rather than buying from someone they dislike. We must put the human element into our sales effort if we hope to convince people to buy from us. One important factor that creates a willingness to buy is rapport. Relationship building. We must learn how to build relationships with the people we hope to do business with. Nobody wants to be just a number. Everyone wants to feel they have been heard and they matter. Respect. Without 2 people respecting each other, even during the brief moments of a prospecting call, it's difficult to create a win-win collaboration. Respect the prospect's time. Rather than asking them how they are today, ask if it's a good time to speak with them for a minute or 2. People are generally kind. They are willing to listen as long as they are shown consideration and respect. Shooting for the stars. The thin line between success and failure is a little thing called positive self-expectancy. There are a lot of theories out there about what makes a successful salesperson. What is the common denominator? Research tells us that there are many ways to achieve success. It all depends on the person. Successful people come in all shapes and sizes and do not conform to a particular physical look, personality type, educational level, or family background. They can be loud and opinionated, or reserved and contemplative. They can be direct and fast-paced, or indirect and relaxed. However, if they expect to succeed, they usually will. And finally, here we'd like to share with you 10 questions to ask yourself about each prospect. 1. Have I had enough time with the prospect to understand the issues? 2. Is the prospect serious about hiring an outside, consultant, training company, etc.? Did I really surface what they might be interested in? 3. Have I identified who the real client is? Is there more than one client here? If so, do I understand their needs? 4. Does the individual I'm dealing with know how to use outside resources effectively? 5. Can I or my organization really perform this work? Is there a valuable role we can play for the prospect? Do I have enough information, reports, statistics to develop a comprehensive proposal? 6. Am I proposing the best method of addressing the issue? Does this work or product have priority for the prospect? 7. Am I dealing with the person who can authorize this purchase? If not, how can I talk to him or her? 8. Is there a high probability of success with this product or project? And did I cover the potential risks with the prospect in our discussion? 9. Do I have agreement from the prospect on the budget, my fees and expenses, the time frame for the work to be done, and the level of support they will provide me? 10. Is this a really good project to pursue and spend time on, or are there other companies involved who are better positioned to get the job?